Hello, hello, hello. It's Jacqueline Mack here. I'm trying a couple new things. So if you see me looking here or there, I have a couple different cameras on for recording purposes so I can help more people. I'm going to start a new thing here on Wednesdays called Why Wait Wednesday. I used to do this a long time ago when I was Make It Happen Mac. And it really was cool to see how people would just step up and show up on Wednesdays and say, yep, no longer waiting, no longer putting things off to start living my dreams like a boss. Obviously, my setup isn't very good at getting my statement across behind me because how things are positioned, but I'll work on that. Always a work in progress. So today we're going to be talking about discipline. Discipline as a tool, as a fun tool, as a simple tool to allow us to prioritize our priorities. Right? Because we can come up with all the goals, all the dreams, all the wishes. Hey everyone. And if we don't actually own what we want to do, become, experience, and put that into our daily practice, which is basically discipline and habits. But we have all this heavy weight when it comes to those words. So today we're going to dive into that. And I want to just explain a little bit further on being disciplined first, because the rest will follow. Understanding what your goals, your dreams and desires are is the first step, but you have to be disciplined in those things to get there. You'll probably see people doing things that you want to do, experiencing things that you want to experience. But if you're not jumping into understanding the things that they're doing, the ways they are showing up, the ways of beingness, right? You might miss the boat. Meaning you might miss out on opportunities that could have been easily there and accessible, but you're walking around with like these blinders on. So be disciplined first, the rest will follow. This goes for anything you want in life, anything you want as far as your health, as far as your business, as far as your relationships, as far as any type of connection goals, adventure goals, and dreams and desires and wishes, and not just something to check off a list, like deep, deep desires, true desires. And to be quite honestly, I noticed myself and other high performers, when we start adding discipline to the experience, what we can do is head down these type A personality tracks where we're just doing, creating, and not honestly allowing in the fun, allowing in the living part of it, the experiencing part of it. It's like, let's hurry up and get there as fast as possible and get to the next, right? And I know that a lot of my clients experience this. I've experienced this from time to time. I even check myself many times. I call it check yourself before you wreck yourself. So self-awareness and discipline are honestly the mother of success, are honestly the recipe, so the ingredients to the recipe for success. When you have the awareness side of what you're disciplined to, what you're not disciplined to, what you want to stand for. And this changes as we evolve. Like you might decide that today you're going to start doing X, Y, and Z, and you'll be very disciplined in it. And then one day you wake up and you're like, this no longer serves me. This no longer serves me. Like when I used to train for marathons, I would have a training schedule. I was disciplined in my training schedule. I no longer run marathons. So doing those things does not serve me, right? And actually takes away from the time that I want to have with my loved ones, with my clients, with all the things that I desire that are on my list, not my list to be experienced someday, but to experience now, and really embodying that and really activating and integrating that now. So most of the people I work with are already successful or have been very close to being successful and desire it so bad. And together we get there. But it takes disciplined tasks. It takes courage. It takes confidence. It takes trust. It takes clarity. Oh boy, it takes clarity, right? Clarity. And usually people don't even want to go there, or they don't want to tap into courage to claim, to really understand like what it is to claim and really plant your feet in being grounded in what you're claiming and not just saying it because it sounds good. And then a knowing. That knowing comes from the gut, from the heart, from the soul, not the knowing in our head. Our head is very limited. Our head can get us into and out of certain things, like our genius, right? But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is that knowing, that feel good Yeah, or that feel good, heck yes, let's do this, right? And so the guts isn't required. And if it's the first time that you've actually played around in this space, it could feel a little weird or uncomfortable. And friends and family members might even like say, yeah, what are they doing? Or what are you up to? Like what's going on? Are you okay? But at the end of the day, it really goes back to you and your space, creating this space of knowing, creating the space of discipline, having the confidence, having the clarity, having the courage to dive into it, even if you're the first one. And sometimes as women, as type A women, as entrepreneur women, as people are very passionate and purpose driven women, we have to go first at times. We might be the first one in our community, in our lineage, in our businesses, and our environments, and our world, in our lifetime to do things a certain way. And that takes courage and takes confidence. It takes clarity. It takes all the things. And especially if no one's ever done it before, because there's a lot of people out there be like, she did it that way. I'm going to do it that way. Comfortable, easy peasy, living life in that zone. And that's okay. There's no judgment on that side either. But when we take that leap of faith, when we trust that inner knowing, and nobody else has done it that way before, it takes guts, and it takes that faith, and it takes that confidence, and it takes that inner knowing to do that. It takes discipline and consistency, right? So discipline is the bridge between the goals, the accomplishments. When you talk about like, there's a good quote. Where did I have that quote before? I think it was like, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishing them. Jim Rohn. Yes, that is what the goal is. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishing them. Jim Rohn. And I say discipline is the activation or action, because discipline is a way of being, right? An action of your desires toward your desires, experiencing your desires and your dreams becoming a reality now, not just someday on a bucket list, right? Hello, gosh, more people are joining. Yay, I need to do more lives. So if you're just joining, this is our Why Wait Wednesday, and I'm jumping into different topics. Today is discipline and how to prioritize your priorities. And I will probably recycle this on my podcast. That's why if you see me looking up here, I have another camera recording this. Down here, I'm live. Over here, I'm recording for Facebook. So there's so many different ways that I want to just get this content out and available to all who want to live their dreams like a boss, experience their desires sooner than later. So back to discipline. So when you know how to activate a level of self-discipline that feels good to you, limitless amounts of success is unlocked. Limitless amounts of success. So you activate it by self-discipline. You activate that by self-awareness. So when you hear the word discipline, do you think, that thing I have to do, right? That thing that is out there that just lingers, that people talk about, that overachievers are really good at, right? Because perception is reality. If you don't have a fun relationship with the word discipline or the experience of being disciplined, then it could be a big block for you. And that block, when used as a strength and you have a different relationship with it, can unlock a lot of things for you, right? So the word discipline typically carries, or at least for me, carried the heavy vibe of work, having to do more, doing what I, have to do and not necessarily what I want to do because I had this or I'm committed to that, versus it being fun, ease, I get to, I want to type of energy. And oh boy, by golly, I block the time, I have the energy, and I'm doing it. That type of discipline. You see the difference between like, I have to versus I get to, or, well, I guess I should do this versus I get to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm doing this. Huge energy difference there. So when we feel that difference and we work on our perspective and we make that switch and we have that trigger and we have that transformation, you become a product of your daily habits, because now your relationship with discipline affects what you wake up and do every day. And not just what you do first thing in the morning, but what you're disciplined to do in the afternoon, what you're disciplined to do in the evening, what you're disciplined to do while you sleep or before you sleep, what you're disciplined to do any given moment. Again, allowing in more of what you desire and what you dream of in all ways of life, in all facets and all the roles that you play. Think about all of the roles that you play. Don't know how many mothers are out there that are busy, entrepreneurs, business owners, teachers, leaders, volunteers, siblings, daughters, like we have all these roles, friends. Sometimes we forget that we're a friend, right? We don't plan girls' nights. Well, at least I'm guilty. I was guilty of that, of planning as many girls' nights as I used to. So going back to being a habit of your decisions and being consistent with your actions, either do it or don't do it and be okay with it. But make sure that you're clear on why you're doing that. Because if that's a priority, then yes, that's a hell yes. And if it's not a priority, it's a, oh, no, thank you, or not right now. And it's okay to change your mind, because sometimes we can be in the moment of like to do, this, and this. And somebody says, hey, what about this? And you're like, huh, well, this is a priority over that, but this is still a top priority. I'm going to postpone this and do this, right? But until you're clear on that, it's hard to even decide. And then you're in decision fatigue. And then you're like, oh, did I make the wrong decision? Then you're questioning yourself. And then you lead down this rabbit hole, which delays life, delays the experiences. And as you know, I talk about this all the time. The most important asset that we invest into is our time. Like even it's right there above health. Because if you don't have good health, right, then time really doesn't matter, or time is then very precious. But is it the quality of precious time that you want once you're like on your deathbed or have some health challenge that you could have prevented or completely reversed? Because when you look at those things, health, time, relationships, family, love, giving back, purpose, contribution, all of that should make you feel really good when you have your priorities straight, because you know what you're investing your time into and you have the health to do it, right? So sorry to get off on a tangent there. That's my past life. I've spent over 20 plus years in sales of corporate health and wellness, and just overall health and wellness, working in different fields of lifestyle medicine and cellular health and things like that. So very passionate about that space. So like I said, we get to choose. We get to choose again at any moment, and you really cannot mess this up. So today I invite you, before this becomes like an hour-long talk, today I invite you to look at discipline as honoring your highest self, tapping in to how you feel consistently, and then committing from that place, right? And so if you have never done this before, it could seem very different, like checking into yourself before you do that knee-jerk reaction, because sometimes we're programmed and hardwired in our brain. By the way, our brain is 80% of the problem or the battle at times. Our mind has been wiring and firing for decades, right? And it's our choice to be aware of that and to start firing and wiring new neurons in new ways and new priorities and new disciplines and new ways of being, and honoring our highest self, and then tapping into that feeling of, oh yeah, this totally feels great and this is the direction I want to go, or it's not, and committing to do or committing not to do with intention. And in that space, you're going to find a lot of good things that will start to light you up more. And then the other things will be pushed to the side because you're not committing to them anymore. It becomes that simple. So the morning discipline practice is always one of the easiest things to explain, but mine looks very different and has been evolving and changing as it feels good and as it serves me. And so as I don't typically set an alarm anymore, except on like travel days, I want to make sure I'm not missing that 5 a.m. flight or other important events that I'm committed to. I get to wake up when I want to wake up, even with kids. During the newborn phase, I'm going to be honest, it was on the other side of that child depicted on when I woke up at times, not even all the time, because there were times that she would get up early, nurse, go back to sleep, and I would just get up, or I would go back to sleep with one of my daughters, right? But typically I got to choose the priority during those times. And I got to decide if they were the priority, which infants should be, or if I'm the priority, right? And it's good for our family members to see that, because when we take care of ourselves, we show up happier. We show up in our best version for them, not just for us, right? And for my clients and for those I work with and for my friends and for my community. And when we show up in our best version of us, everybody wins. So like in the morning, I get to do my meditation. I get to process all the inner work. I get to run, walk, exercise, decide yoga today or lifting weights today. I get to choose, but I block that time as a priority, and I'm disciplined in doing those things because I know what I'm after. I know what I desire. I know what I want to experience, not just because, it looks good or somebody else does it or it sounds great. Because honestly, I could care less. most people don't even understand what I'm doing behind the scenes because I haven't been sharing it, because I'm like, who cares? I just need to show up and deliver. But in all reality, I realize if I show up and share deeper, people can then see what's possible for them. So I get to journal. I get to play board games with my kids before school. I get to decide if I'm driving her to school or daddy is. Like we're a team, and we understand and respect each other's priorities because we know we're disciplined in those areas that feed our truest, deepest desires. I get to decide what I put in my body, right? I get to decide who gets my time, who gets my energy, who gets my attention. I also get to decide if I get to decline something, which is hard for me. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a type A perfectionist, recovering perfectionist, as you can see. And I love to serve, and I love to say yes. And I love to help people. And I love being a solution or finding a solution for others. But what I get to do is I get to decline without that shame, without that justification, without that blame. And the best part is I know in my heart of hearts, in my soul, not just my head, all these disciplines are a reflection of my success, no one else's. It might impact other people's success, but they don't see that unless they're directly working with me. Then they're like, oh yeah, this happened because I committed to your container. Oh yeah, because we started working together. Oh yeah, I joined your free masterclass, right? But behind the scenes, not even my husband on most days even knows what's going on behind the scenes. He just knows sometimes if I meditated more or didn't, and he'll even check me, right? Which is great, because even in our discipline, we get to be imperfect. So let me be clear on that. So that discipline, again, doesn't feel so heavy. Even when we are disciplined in our ways of showing up and being, we can be imperfect. You don't have to do it all, and you don't have to do it perfectly. It's about progress. It's about tuning in, tapping in, and doing what feels right in that moment. So I have to declare that this is my year to delegate more, celebrate more, share deeply more as I practice my disciplines. Because by sharing more deeply, I get to connect and inspire more. I also get to be as busy as I want to be or not. But what's most important is I get to choose to be fulfilled. Yay, more people are jumping on. Hopefully, if you're just not jumping on, you go back and watch the beginning, because this is our Why Wait Wednesdays, and it's all about living your dreams like a boss. So I will be doing this on a regular basis. I'm not sure what time of the day, probably around this time on a regular basis on Wednesdays. So I hope that you all join me more live. So going back to what I was just saying about sharing more deeply, connecting to myself more deeply, connecting to others more deeply, inspiring others on a whole deeper level, and deciding what gets to be my fulfillment or not. And then allowing others to decide for themselves as well, and creating that space for them, creating that space for us to grow and evolve together. And then together, we get to see what's truly possible, what's truly available to hitting our dreams and reaching and experiencing our desires sooner than later, instead of a bucket list, right? Because bucket lists are just silly to me, just like New Year's resolutions. They're silly to me. There should be weekly, monthly, daily things that we're intentionally wanting to experience so that we can experience it sooner. So most assume, this is the fun part, most assume that I'm still hustling, I'm still grinding at making it all happen. And sometimes I do fall into that category, but I'm much more aware and I'm much more disciplined so that doesn't happen. So allowing it to become something that becomes more of a standard of practice, to where I choose to be disciplined, and allowing more in that's more consistent, and getting out of that hamster wheel that could and most definitely will lead to burnout, because it's happened to me multiple times. It's happened to my clients multiple times. And it could cause a lot of serious disease and dysfunction, not just in your relationships, but in your body and your life. And like I said earlier, your health and your time, those are the most important assets. So you got to really be clear of who and what you're investing into, putting into those things. And so when you have a state of awareness that brings you back to, is this where I want to go? Is this what I want to be? Is this what I want to experience? In a state of being, then you can start becoming and evolving, and then switching again. Is it time to switch up my discipline? Is it time to switch up my habits? What's serving me? What's not serving me? And moving forward and evolving, almost quantum leaping at times, and definitely quantum leaping at times, because you're in that space of knowing, and you know what your true desires are and why. So when you embody this at this level and actually claim it, life is different. And if you don't believe me, try it for just a few days, 5 days, 7 days. Keep going if it feels good. If it doesn't and you're confused, DM me. I do actually respond to my DMs personally. And walk the talk. Walk the talk instead of just talking the talk. Because at the end of the day, talk can only get so far, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is that you get to do what you want and you get to experience what you want to experience. But are you clear on that? Are you confident on your what and why? Are you confident on what you desire and why you desire without justification? Because it could be completely different than what life looks like right now and could scare the bejesus out of you. It could scare other loved ones that like, oh, why are they thinking that? Why would they want to do this? Or why do you desire that? That sounds crazy. Or, yeah, great job. Or, keep dreaming, keep thinking, keep talking about it. But in the back of their mind, they're like, that's never going to happen for them. Right. So that's why I say walk the talk, not just talk the talk, because it's that connection to yourself. It's that confidence. It's that clarity. It's that courage to go after it. That courage, because sometimes we get really clear and then courage stops us because lack of courage, right? Meaning courage is not available to tap into at the time. You've exacerbated all resources of that level of courage you've ever been to, but we get to choose and we get to tap in and pull it out, even if we think we don't have it. Even if we think we don't have it, because we all have access to it. It's whether or not we believe it. Our thoughts are so freaking powerful, right? We all have the ability to tap into that courage. It's whether or not we choose to, and we listen to the old wiring, the old paradigms in our head, or we actually grab it by the, what, and go for it. So my main point of today's live is that you get to know and understand discipline, and you get to have a better perspective and relationship with it. You don't have to, or you should, or you could do or be better with discipline. Treat it like a get to, play with it, have fun with it. Why are you disciplined in certain ways? Why are you not? What is the real juiciness around it? And if it's that thing that's stopping you, how can things be different? And if you're struggling with that, let me know. I'd love to jump on another live and share a better way for you and for others in spot. Because if you are having a problem or you feel challenged or stuck in a certain situation, I guarantee others are too, or I have or am, right? Because we're all human. And we're all trying to get somewhere and do something and experience something. And that's all that matters for us as individuals, is that we finally get to. The second piece of this is I want to make sure that you decide that it gets to be fun. I want to make sure that you get to define what it means for you. And for some, it's having a strict schedule and sticking to it. That allows them to keep up the momentum, that allows them to be very successful, to be one more step closer and another step closer to ease, confidence, flow, and fun. And for others, schedules are so rigid, they're like, no, it doesn't feel good. My soul's like, please don't tell me I have to put one more thing on my schedule or my mind is going to explode and I'm going to feel trapped and not free. Speaking of free, I have a Freedom Masterclass coming up. I'm actually probably going to be doing this regularly. I'm not going to commit yet to too much about that. But at the end of this month, in March, it will be free. It's typically a couple $100s. It's 3 days of freedom, owning your truth and true freedom, like true freedom from the things that are holding you back. And it can be anything in business and in life. These same tools, techniques, methodologies, installments, activations work for everything. So if you're thinking, but mine's really deep, Jackie, I guarantee I've heard it before. I guarantee I've helped somebody else get through something very similar. So freedom. Is freedom for you having a schedule so you just do what's on your schedule and you don't have to worry about anything else and you have that freedom? Or is freedom to you not having a schedule that tells you what to do all the time? They're very two different things here we're talking about, but it's still discipline. And it still gets to be fun and you still get to choose and you still get to play around with that. And that used to be me. I scheduled everything in order to make things happen. That's why I was Make It Happen Mac, that I burned that website down, because it's not about making it happen. It's about allowing it to happen and living from here. And I used to schedule every hour, play dates, meditation, practically going to the bathroom, eating. I mean, again, I'm a recovering perfectionist type A, but it worked for me then. And then I realized I can experience more and feel more freedom by not doing it. So I have this beautiful balance now for me where there are things that are scheduled and there aren't things that are scheduled. And then there's space for spontaneity and synchronicities to happen that are scheduled space for nothing. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but scheduled space that nothing is actually planned until an hour before or a minute before or 2 seconds before. And then I get to choose. That's fun. That's freedom. That's the fun of discipline, right? So does anybody else? I know some people are watching. Do you feel this? Do you have questions about this? Chime in below. Happy to answer. But let me know if any of this relates to you. Let me know if you're feeling some shift work going on. Because if you are, awesome. If you aren't, I'm not doing my job, right? So let me know if you're still there. The other pieces of this, like I said, is going back to the knowing in your gut, knowing in your soul, knowing in your heart, wherever you feel that connection, not just in your head, and get to live it out and actually live out those dreams, live out those desires sooner than later, with ease, with fun, with flow, bigger than your wildest dreams, and having a wealth of abundance in all the spaces of love, happiness, connection, money, adventure, all the things, relationships. So discipline is a way of being, and it should be a thing that feels good. If it doesn't feel good, and I don't like to tell people that they're doing things wrong, right? So, but if you're doing things in life and it doesn't feel good, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It just says, be aware of this. Be aware of this. Stop, pause if you can, and adjust. It's kind of like when you're sailing a boat. I don't know if anybody's ever sailed a boat before. I grew up on a sailboat, thanks to my dad. And when the winds would shift, you had to shift with the winds, or you did it and you got to choose if you wanted just to sit out in the water and enjoy it, or if you wanted to keep sailing and moving along. So when you start to feel some resistance or some uneasiness in your life, in any area of your life, pause and bring your awareness in. Pause and come into your inner knowing. Get out of your head and drop into your heart and see, where do I need to shift some things? And then you can be behind the driving forces of that will not just trust, that will take you further than willpower any day, is knowing, being, and trusting that this won't let you down. When you have that inner knowing that's your highest self, it will never let you down. So are you clear on what and why? Because discipline is like level 2 or step 2. Step 1 is getting clear on what and why. Because when you're clear on what and why, what your priorities are, then we can set up our structures of discipline to meet those priorities where they're at. Because if you don't know what and why, how do you know what actions to take and which ones to prioritize? It's kind of like trying to hit a moving target and it's behind you, but you're throwing all your darts forward. But the moving target you want to hit, you want to experience winning, owning, buying, going on that vacation, buying the dream house, the car, finding that soulmate, having those babies, buying, multiple rescue puppies, things like that. If you don't know where your target is, you're not clear what and why, then all the strategies to get there, all the ways to show up to experience it is going to be by happenstance, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you're someone like me who wants to get there and experience more in a very fulfilling life, as much as we can in this very short amount of time that we have here on earth, then that's what we have to do. So if you're not clear on your what and why, this will inevitably delay your dreams and your desires from being a reality. It would also delay more happiness. There's a lot of happiness that's available every single day, even in the most challenging times. You got to be clear on what, you got to be clear on why. And you can't put any of that into somebody else's power. It has to be from you. Because if not, you're giving your power away to the spouse or the parent or your child or the money, right? And the discipline around that and being aware of that and being clear on that. And then understanding that this could be the possible reason on why you never experienced the magic and the luck. It's March. He talks about luck and money and leprechauns and things like that. So those that you label lucky, that you've seen that are lucky in your life, they're not lucky because they're lucky, right? Whether they're aware of it or not, they're generating their own luck. And it's because they're clear, they're confident, they know what, they know why, and they have the courage to take that action. And they may be clear that they're doing all those things, or it might be automatic happening in the background, autopilot. And that's just been how they've been set up, thanks to their parents, thanks to their teachers and their mentors and things. So as many of you are coming to find out that our lives and these podcasts are intentionally designed to move you into action, activating more of what's possible when it comes to experiencing your truest, deepest desires and dreams now and not someday on a bucket list, to inspire you into making decisions to invest, if anything, your time and your energy and your focus into exploring more of what you desire, owning why, and don't let anything hold you back. And then the good stuff we covered today. The good stuff, the juicy things, not just to do and check off our list, but to activate and integrate and embody into our daily practice, and having this new perspective on this word that's so weighted in low vibe for most, not for all, but for most, is that word discipline. So it's March. And if you're watching this in real time, March of 2022, and you've been following my stories, I'm giving so much away this month. I'm giving away activations. If you go to JacquelineMackCoaching.com, I'm giving away a free masterclass, a 3-day masterclass at the end of the month. All you got to go is register. It's recorded. So if you can't meet at the right times, you can still participate. There will be integrations and activations when that as well. Register over at JacquelineMack.com or in the bio of my Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you there. I very much look forward to seeing people on lives and in my master classes, because then we get to do life together. We get to evolve together. We get to choose and have fun and experience more of our dreams and our desires together. So with that said, I'm sending you so much love. Till next time, make it a great day. Actually, allow it to be a freaking awesome good day. Sending you so much love. Mwah.